Everybody, beautiful Black people. I am Quincy J. Roberts Sr., founder of Queued Up Communications and co-creator of Curating Black Thoughts. This is a place where Black folks from all walks of life discuss the difficult conversations. In this space, we're not looking to agree or disagree per se. We want to communicate our differences, similarities, and common goals to get to a better understanding of each other. Thank you for joining the Love Village for episode 6. Wait till I get my money right, just like Kanye used to say, the Black Dollar. I'm joined with my co-host, Jay Aspire.
What's up, guys?
Amazing guest that's sharing space with the Love Village today, Tayla Andre. So a little bit about Tayla before I let her introduce herself. She is an educator, a motivator, and she says she can emancipate anyone from the fear of the unknown. Tayla, introduce yourself, please.
Good rising, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. I am Tayla Andre, and I am excited to be here with you this afternoon.
There's no time in our space. All right, so let's get right on into it. The first question for Tayla: what drives your passion for financial literacy?
I just want to be clear. None of these questions were given to me in advance, so these are authentic answers.
That's the point.
I would have to say it would be my people perish for lack of knowledge. And what we learn in our educational spaces and what we learn at our dinner time conversations is nothing compared to what our counterparts are learning at home or in their school districts. And so for me, it's about leveling the playing field and giving people the knowledge they need in order to make informed decisions.
So a lot of people want to do things for their children early on, especially coming around 2019, 2020. A lot of people started to want to invest more in their children, including myself. So what advice do you have for people that want to start with their children's financial literacy because they feel like it's too late for them?
So if you still have a heartbeat and you can hear my voice, clap one time, you still have time to create some financial stability in your life. So age is nothing but a number. And if you are still living on this earth, there's still ways. It might be a little bit more expensive in the form of like life insurance, but there's still ways for you to create a financial portfolio, not only for you, but for the next generation. Regarding the next generation, I would say the first biggest investment is not even financial, but to invest in our children based on the investments that they need. So we have this idea that you go to school, you get a good job, you get benefits, and you live a good life, right? That's the American dream. But if we go back to the way that we were raised and we came into this space, we would be cultivating and curating spaces for our children that are akin to Montessori school. Like, what are you good at? Just like the Buddha picks his toys and that's like, oh, you're the Buddha. Like, what toys are in front of you, or what skills, what what fuels your soul and your passion. You may not have all the answers, but your soul does. So at a young age, these kids know who they are, what they want, and what they want to do. And just like the meme floating around the internet of all of the students with these circles, and then the teachers coming and cutting it into a square, that's what we're doing to our children. We're limiting them and putting them in a box. So that's the first investment into our youth, is to find out what it is they like, and then help grow their passion for whatever it is that their soul came here to accomplish. As far as finances, like, there's books, there's YouTube videos, there's games. Shout out to Angel Rich that created the credit. I can't think of the name of the app right now, but it's the #1 credit educational app in the world. And it's like Candy Crush, but as you're playing the game, it's also giving you financial literacy about credit, about student loans, about savings. And you're just like playing these games, you're looking for points and you're trying to get rewards. The form of rewards in the game are like crushing your student loans.
Yeah, definitely. If you can get us that name, I would love to make sure we post that on our social media page so people can have access to that.
Absolutely. Angel Rich is what society calls a unicorn. She is one of the, I think it's less than 20 Black women that have been able to raise over $1 million. And when you think about that, there's like millions of white men that have been able to fundraise over $1 million. Angel Rich is one of the unicorns who not only has been able to do that, but she's also in the tech space. She's in the education space. She's also an author. She wrote the book on Black wealth, which I think is an amazing book. I think that you would thoroughly enjoy. And so it's just, what would we give our children, or what should we do with our children to invest in them and their knowledge of financial education? The same thing that you would use for yourself. Because unless you are in the financial space, there's a lot we don't know. And even though I know a lot, I know nothing. And so continuously learning and showing your children that you're always open to grow with them. You don't have all the answers. And sometimes as parents, we tend to have this front, like, if you knew what I knew, with all the knowledge that we have, we still don't know nothing. So to just grow with your children, learn with your children, and read what's going on in the financial. So if you follow Google, or if you follow Yahoo or AOL or whatever your service email provider is, there's also the financial section of the newspaper. Where does that typically go? For the dog.
Exactly. I was going to say, who's reading newspapers these days? Let me ask you this. So, and hear me out. Our listeners and viewers, mainly from the South, and I was born and raised in the South, and I've always heard of parents putting bills in their children's name. When I was younger, it was frowned upon. As I got older, some people have told me that it's a way to help build credit. Now, is that a myth, or is that something that someone just made up because they feel shame that they had to put their child's their bills in their child's name?
So before, really quickly, I do want to backtrack. It's Credit Stacker is the app.
I was about to say it's Credit Stacker.
Yeah, yep. Credit Stacker, and you can download it on iPhone or Android, or as well as iPads. So all of these kids playing with their iPads. We have my 2-year-old knows how to put his password in his iPad. Like, Credit Stacker, just play with that. You have no idea what credit is nor student loans, but you will by the time you're 5.
And is this a free app, or?
Yes, it's a free app.
All right, so you hear that, Black folks? It's $3.99.
Actually, you know what? I just went on my iPhone and I just downloaded it. It's actually $10.
Hey,
it's $10, but if you want to be great and you want to succeed in life, you have to invest in yourself. What's $10? I just paid $10 for my family share, and my son has it on his phone now too.
You spend more on 10 bag of weed a day, so
A day. I
you
mean,
can
and at
definitely
McDonald's, y'all get
definitely
those 10 for
do $10.
10s. Yeah, you get your 10 for
Thank you,
10s.
thank
You
you.
can invest $10 for financial literacy.
But you know
Absolutely.
what's crazy is I've had Credit Stacker for about 2 years now, before I even knew who Angel Rich was, before I sat down and spoke with her. And I'm like, it was free when I got it. So it's on my phone and I have it for free. But I do see that the Credit Stacker Pro is the $9.99 and the regular Credit Stacker is no longer available. So that goes to, like, as far as business is concerned, you know, the first one's free, boo, and then you got to come back and pay for it.
Absolutely.
But
And I'm in the tech space. So when it comes to tech startups and application developments, when you are going through the demo space and you are, once you have gotten out of that whole startup process and you are actually making money and you want to get your profit gains, hey, you gotta get your investment up.
Get
You
your
can no
money
longer
right.
get it. Once you have done your beta versions, it's time to go. Time to get your investments back. And it's multiple founders with her too.
Tayla, can you speak on people putting bills in their children's name?
Absolutely. So when you go back to, like, putting bills in children's name was really big back in like the 80s and 90s, when there wasn't so many, you know, bureaucracy, red tape that you had to jump through. It was easy. All you had to do was what's your name, what's your social, and you could put whatever you wanted in someone's name. But that was also during a time where having your identity stolen was also huge. So is it something that I would advise? No, it's not. Pay whoever it is that you owe your electric bill, your gas bill to, so you can put the gas or the electric in your name and not mess up your baby's credit. But when your child, like for instance, I have a son who is currently 17 and he is on one of my credit cards. He doesn't per se have credit, but he does have access to my credit. And so once he turns 18, he'll be sitting on a 780. I'm lying. His mom's sitting on a 780, but he'll be sitting probably at, because it's by association. So it's not you have this 780 because you built it by yourself, but by association, he might end up with like a 710. Fresh out the gate at 18 years old, only had one job, never had a credit card. That's how you can begin to build credit for your children. But if your credit is jacked up, having your child as a secondary on the account means nothing, because what are you going to give them? Bad credit? So
let's back up a little bit, because you just brought up a great point. Credit. Do you need to hire someone to fix your credit?
You do not. So I wrote a book, and in the book there's like another book, and it's called Credit is King. And you can have all the cash in the world, but if you have an 800 credit score, you could have that equates to more than $100,000 cash, because you have this proven relationship that you're good with money and you could give me whatever I want. And because I'm good with money, you're going to get it back from me. As far as credit is concerned, a lot of us don't understand or don't have use for the importance of credit. So we think until it's time to, right now, like phone bills. If you go to Verizon or T-Mobile right now and try and get a phone, and you never had a phone with them before, they run your credit. And based on what your credit score is, if you're trying to rent a phone, you could either have a 0 down payment with $30 a month, or you could have a $250 down payment with $45 a month. People don't think about that when they're ruining their credit, jacking up their credit, and swiping these cards.
So how do we not necessarily stop? How do we pay attention? Because it's hard to break a habit, something that you've been doing all your life, and you've seen your parents and your grandparents do this. So what are some of the tips that you can give for people to make better credit decisions? And when I say better credit decisions, someone with a 600 credit score that really wants to build their credit, to end up buying a house, or being able to buy more property or assets, what would you tell that individual?
I would first, one of the sayings that I know is prevalent in the South is breaking generational curses. And first and foremost, you have to like make the decision to not even a generational curse, but generational decisions that we make because our parents made. And so since they did it, it must be okay, right? And so we first have to make the decision that I'm not going to live my life like my parents do, or did. The second thing is to stop. If you can't pay cash, don't buy it. That it sounds so easy, but it's difficult when you want that new bag, when you want that new car and you're not a homeowner, when you want whatever it is that you want to swipe on your card and you could just pay it back later. The first step is to pull your credit. Do you even know what your credit score is? You said it's a 600, but do you know what your FICO is? Do you know what's on your credit report? Do you know why your credit is a 600? Is it a 600 because you don't have any credit, which looks better than I have bad credit because I failed to pay all of these companies?
So how would someone go about finding their credit score if they've never had a financial coach, high school education, nothing past high school, working a 9 to 5, 48 years old, and they want to get their credit together?
I would say the first step is to download Credit Karma. Or maybe there's a credit card that you have that gives you your FICO score. I know a lot of the MasterCards and Capital Ones and like all of these credit cards give you access to your FICO or give you access to your Advantage score. And once you have this access, and I say Credit Karma because I feel like it's very user-friendly. It's easy to understand. The website is easy to navigate. And even the app on the phone is, a fifth grader, someone with a fifth grade education could easily navigate it, understand it, and feel like a pro. Because that's one of the, we never want to do something that I don't feel comfortable doing. I've never done it before. It's not worth it to me because it makes me feel incompetent. And so we kind of give up when we don't feel like we're worthy of this thing that we're doing. So once you head over to Credit Karma, I would say take a look at all your accounts. Who is it that you owe? Is there anything on that's fraudulent that should not be on your account? Because that's very harmful too. There's things on your account that you don't know, but yet you don't live in Tennessee. So how do you have an electric bill in Tennessee, but you live in Mississippi? So just be mindful to see if there's anything on there that does not belong to you. And, tips, tricks, and truth about credit, even if it does belong to you, there is a law. First of all, there is no law that says that anything has to stay on your credit for 7 years. But there is a law that says and protects consumers that says you have to have all of this information. You have to have my name, my address, the account number, and you even have to have this little document that I signed or consented to for you to even open this credit or whatever it is that you're disputing. So here's where it gets tricky. If you plan on using a credit services somewhere down the line, you disputing items on Credit Karma, the bold print, give it the fine print, take it away. And in that fine print, you give up all of your rights to dispute this with a company or dispute this on your own at a later date. So if you're on Credit Karma, you find I owe Quincy $600 for something that I don't even remember, but it probably is mine, right? But you want to dispute it. And so there's a button on Credit Karma where you could dispute this. Sometimes, depending on the credit bureau, you might have to go to the credit bureau's website, set up an account with them, and dispute it that way. Or you can do it within the Credit Karma app. I think it was Equifax that requires you to open an account with them and dispute with them. And really quickly, Equifax is a pain in the ass, because if you dispute, I owe Quincy $600, it falls off the other two bureaus, but it's still on Equifax, it can pop up back onto the other two bureaus because it's still on Equifax. I've had to send Equifax 3 different letters for them to take something off my account, and it's still there. Like there's no easy, there's no seamless, there's like, you have to be consistent, and sometimes you will be denied. Well, we feel like you owe Quincy, so you're gonna have to, pay Quincy what you owe. But once you pull up Credit Karma, take a look at your accounts. If there's anything on there that's fraudulent or anything that you are denying, Shaggy, it wasn't me. Even if it's everything, it wasn't me. And let them do their due diligence and provide the paperwork that is necessary due to law to prove that this account belongs to you. So you could potentially take your 600 credit score up to a 725 in 30 days by removing things off.
I was just going to ask, how long does that process take? If so, hypothetically, I'm challenging what I owe Quincy and I hit that button. How long from the time I hit the button to I start to see an improvement in my credit score?
30 to 45 days. And that's because that's the rotation of the credit bureaus and how they report. Another thing that a lot of people don't know is credit, let's say Quincy had to pay Equifax TransUnion to even report that Tayla didn't pay. And so a lot of people don't know that. So a lot of these companies pay to report who's not paying them. But a lot of these companies that are paying these companies don't have the bandwidth to keep all of these documents. So when I am writing this letter, I never had an account with Quincy. I have no idea where this account came from. Remove it off my account or prove that it's mine. And you can have sexier language in this letter, but it doesn't have to be long and drawn out. And they will either provide proof, like and by law, provide proof that you owe Quincy $600, or it's going to fall off your account.
Got it. Thank you. I'm hoping everyone is listening to this podcast, because that was some great knowledge that I see people advertising for like $3,000, $4,000 so you can take their credit repair things. Stay away from those people, by the way.
No, don't, because I'm one of those credit repair people.
I've never seen you charge no $3,000 or $4,000 to clean up nobody's credit. I've seen you ask for donations, and that's totally different. That's completely different from charging some poor or at that poverty line type of person that doesn't have that disposable income $4,000 to fix their credit. I just think that is like, and I know you're not doing that, but can you speak to that a little bit?
But when you don't know, you're willing to pay whatever it takes in order to get that car, in order to get that house, in order to get a better rate when you refinance. Like, you're willing to pay that. And when you don't know, my people perish for lack of knowledge. There's typically it's about a $200 sign up and then $100 a month. There are companies that charge a lot more than that. But you shouldn't need more than 6 months, because sometimes you have to do different rounds. Again, I had to send multiple letters to Equifax, and it's still on there. So I'm going to continue sending them. Like, I send them letters like they're a baby daddy. Like, they're going to get so tired of me, they're just going to take it off so Tayla doesn't mail us anything anymore. But when it comes to when it comes to fixing it yourself, it is time consuming. And so in the step-by-step guide in the book, there is a sample letter that helps you write out, a simple, well thought out, but with the code. And that's really important too, is sometimes they'll deny you because of the language. Like, take this off of my account. No.
Yeah.
But if you say, section such and such, code such and such, law, I know the law. I know my rights. Take this off my account. And it's more like, okay, well, we can't.
And all this is in your upcoming book, right?
So that it's not up and coming. It's out.
It's out. Okay, we're gonna get to the book later on in the conversation, but yes, I'm gonna make sure I get that book.
But
Let's talk.
Consuming, Quincy, because if you have, let's say I owe Quincy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I also owe baby girl. She left.
Yeah, she had to go. She's in the rain in Atlanta.
Well, I owe Rain and I owe Atlanta. So I owe these 3 people, and I have to write out these 3 letters for 3 people. That's 3, 6, that's 9 letters that I have to write. Some people have up to 45 accounts on their credit, whether they're in default, whether they're in good standing, whether they're closed, whether they're old. Some people have a lot. So if you have 45 accounts and you have to write 3 letters per account, you would rather pay somebody $200 a month to do it for you.
I agree. But I still stand. Please don't be paying nobody $4,000 to clean your credit up. Because now that you explain it, it makes sense why people charge. And if you do have it, I mean, that is a luxury and a privilege you have. But if you don't have it, please don't be spending your last to have somebody do your work. In this case, you're just going to have to do it yourself. So let's talk about stimulus packages and stimulus money. So I'm sure you've already seen this on Facebook, and I'm just going to read a little bit of it and kind of abbreviate the rest. If you have been getting $800 to $1,000 a week from unemployment for the last 4 months, and you don't have anything saved up and are now panicking because that extra $600 is about to end, that's completely your fault. Even if you put $250 of that money away a week for the last 18 weeks, you'd have $4,500 to work with until you went back to work and find a temporary job to make ends meet. You also could have gotten a part-time job this whole time, and you still would have gotten that $600. I'm an essential worker, and I work 5 to 6 days a week with no unemployment. You people should be ashamed of yourself. P.S. From an essential worker, copy and paste. So this thing is going around. I've seen it. I started to see it a little bit last week, and I'm starting to see it more and more and more. I kind of understand what whoever created this is trying to say, but let me get your thoughts on the question. Thoughts on how and why Black people are always in someone else's bank account and trying to dictate what other people do with their money. Like, why do you feel that people do that, 1? And 2, how can we better support each other through that financial literacy? Because what it sounds like is this person, whoever wrote this, started this message or post, they have some knowledge of what to do with their finances, but instead of utilizing that knowledge, they want to take it and shame people, because that's what it felt like to me. I mean, I'm not in that category. I haven't got unemployment in a very long time, but I know some people that are on unemployment that are getting extra money, and it's benefiting them, and I don't see a problem with it. Mm-hmm. What about you?
So this is a loaded answer for me. So first and foremost, the first question was, why does it seem that Black people are always in somebody else's pocket? There's a word that I learned this year, actually, which describes the Black person who was paid or incentivized to snitch on the other Black people. Um,
Mm.
I'm gonna have to do my due diligence, and it was a really weird word
And
that.
that's not a Uncle Tom. That's
Well, yeah, that's a
similar.
nickname.
Okay,
It's a nickname, but there's an actual definition, an actual word
got it.
for this person, that not just the person that snitches, but the person that gets incentivized to be the snitch.
And the overseer was like that too. I know my grandfather used to tell us stories. Overseers were like that too. A lot of overseers were. That's why I don't like that word. When people use it, be like, I'm overseeing something. It just always triggers me. But overseers were similar to that. They were black people who worked for the master, and they told and did certain things to the other slaves. And they got,
That benefit, yeah.
lots of benefits, suits and good food, and a seat at the table, at somebody's table.
Maybe they didn't get a seat at the table. They just got some extra scraps. And I really want to find this word. So that overseer had a name, and that name was this
Mm-hmm.
word I can't think of right now. So first and foremost, that is the reason why. Like, we know science has proven to us that DNA has memory, and DNA holds, the key to our ancestors. And so we're not far removed, what, 3-4 generations from that space where we had an overseer. And so we do have muscle memory or DNA memory that we unconsciously perpetuate these behaviors. As far as, so two things. You shaming me for making better decisions than me doesn't make me want to do better. Like, it doesn't shame me into making better decisions. It's just like, I can cuss.
Absolutely.
Bitch, stay out my pocket. Like, mind your business. But I do, and I feel like that the person who wrote that is mostly likely a Latino Republican. That's who I would assume was the curator of that post. We as Black, when you take a look at the Black, Indigenous people of color, when you look at all of us as a group, we are so different individually. So Black Americans have a mindset that African Americans do not understand. I mean, people from Africa that came to America. And we as Black Americans also have a mindset that Latinos don't understand, because, and it's again going back to muscle memory, DNA memory. We have behaviors, these generational curses that we can't deny. Like, we first have to acknowledge that those are the facts, that is science, but we have to make conscious decisions to make better decisions. So the person who's getting the $600 on top of the $300 or the $400 that they were getting every week, if you were making bad decisions with your money prior to Corona, prior to the stimulus package, then you're going to continue making bad choices with your money. You probably had a great time on vacation. You probably spent some money going out, whining and dining, having Uber Eats every night. Like, it depends. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And if you were fucking up your money before, you didn't all of a sudden say, oh, this influx of money, let me save, because you weren't saving nothing previously.
Absolutely. I 100% agree.
But with this influx of money, had you made the decision that you wanted to do something different, you could have stacked some bread. So even
that's the next question. So for those, because I'm all about letting people live, like, and you said it better than I could ever say it. But I was talking about this yesterday to my husband. It's like, let people just live. Like, if they were broke and now they got a little bit of money, who am I to judge? I'm happy for them. They can floss a little bit and eat crab legs, because I keep seeing that online. Like, oh, you getting these crab legs, and you can be like, what the fuck is up with like people in crab legs, or getting mad that people get crab legs? Let people have crab legs. So the next, I guess, the follow-up question for you would be, for those who want to do something with that 1,200 stimulus package or stimulus check, or the extra 600 or whatever they're getting right now during COVID, how can they, I guess, save or start to build on that money?
Mm-hmm. So we, again, as Black people, we have a lot of money in the mattress. We have a lot of money in the coffee can. We've had, and if you go back again to Angel Rich's History of the Black Dollar, is the name of the book. If you go back and read that book, you understand a little bit more about the Black dollar and why Blacks don't trust banks. So once upon a time, we had millions of dollars in the bank collectively as Black people. It was shut down and Black people never got their money back. So there were people that had, $1,000, which today equates to, I don't know, 100,000. So if Quincy, if you put $100,000 in the bank closes, and because you're Black, you don't get your money back. What are you going to tell your kids and your grandkids? Don't put your money
I won't be alive to tell them because it's going down.
There were a
They're
lot of
gonna have to read about me
that had their money stolen from them, and they don't trust banks. And so I understand, and again, knowing your history, my people perish for lack of knowledge. When you know the history and know now we have the FDIC, which insures up to $100,000, Black or white, you're going to get your money back unless we hit another depression, and nobody gets their money back. Again, also bringing up the depression when a lot of people had money in the banks closed, they couldn't take that money out. That we're not far removed from that. My great grandmother lived through that time, which then trickled into my grandmother raising my grandmother. She taught, we're not far removed from these things that seem so long ago. And so we first have to understand that we don't like banks. Why we don't like banks? Okay, what am I going to do? We are in a different era. You can put it under your mattress. You're not gonna create any interest from that money. You could put it in a savings account. A savings account isn't going to give you as much interest as if you would have gotten an IRA, or if you would have invested it in stock, or there are options. You just have to find what's right for you. And you can either get a financial advisor to help you make those decisions, or you can do your due diligence and make those decisions for yourself. Again, you're not paying people for their time, you're paying them for their expertise. And I forgot who recently posted it, but it was Dana Chanel posted it. She was like, it took me 6 years to learn this. You're not paying me 30 minutes for my 30 minutes. You're paying me for the 6 years of mistakes. You're paying me for the 6 years of money I lost. So if you want a financial advisor to make the right decisions for you without losing as much money or making wrong decisions, then you're going to have to pay somebody for their expertise. But if you're willing to do your due diligence and learn what you have to learn, but also risking some dollars, then do it on your own.
I can definitely support that. I'm glad we're having this conversation, because that's what this platform is all about, challenging thought processes and not agreeing or disagreeing, but challenging and evolving. So I just evolved in this last little 30 minutes because I was one of those people like, you shouldn't have to pay people to do shit. But now that I think about it, it's the equivalent of me meeting with someone and saying, if you don't have $10,000 to give me right now, I'm not working on your damn campaign. Not because it's going to take me a lot to get the word out and get your image in the way that it needs to be to cater to people that look like me. But I went to school for this shit and I worked hard for it. So you're absolutely right. So thanks for changing my mind. That's hard to do. Don't tell nobody. That's very hard to do. Let's talk while we're still on the stimulus package and the stimulus check. Something else that I know you have been seeing, and I've heard about this. Well, I discovered this terminology and this process when I moved to Boston 13 years ago. Sou Sous. So we got a lot of people out here. I got 17 calls, no exaggeration, 17 calls about joining a Sou Sous. And I started a Sou Sous with a couple of friends, a couple of my Haitian friends about 5 years ago. And they taught me they taught me their version of a Sou Sous. It is nothing like what I'm hearing right now. What I'm hearing now is people calling you up, hey, cuz, brother, whatever.
I
Give me
want to
$200.
bless you. I
Yeah, I want to bless. Yeah, let's
in the
get in this
fire, in the
blessing.
water. I want to
All
bless
that.
you.
And it's like this big pyramid, and they're like, find someone else to give $200. And I'm like, nah, that's not how this goes. So let's talk about Sou Sous, pyramid schemes, because that's what it sounds like to me, and ways that because people, you can tell people want to make more money. They want to make more money. They want to take care of their families. So let's talk about ways, practical and legal ways that we can help our brothers and sisters make some money.
Okay, so to tackle the first part, as far as Sou Sous are concerned, a real Sou Sous has a treasurer that is paying taxes, and everybody who gets their payout reports this on their taxes. This is a real Sou Sous. This is like the legal way of doing it. Everybody is listed as these people who are a part of this group. These are the monies, like everything is accounted for. There is a paper trail, and it typically does, have a rotation. So it's this group of people, like no one's going to be added in the middle. No one's going to drop out. Like you are required to be in this, like whether it's 5 months, whether it's a month, whether it's a year, whether it's 5 years, whatever the duration is, you are giving X amount of dollars and you are going to get X amount of dollars back. This is how the Asian community has forever lifted itself up and only relied on itself in order to, for lack of better terminology, big up itself, right? What's going on now is a version, like a perverted version of that. And so I want to say like 3, maybe 4 years ago, they had like a really, when it started and I was aware and got involved, it was $20. You put in $20, you get 2 people to put in $20, and you get a payout of, I think it was like $160 or $180, and that shit was easy money. Like I was paying phone bills, I was paying car notes, I was paying insurance, I was in like 6 different ones. But people that I brought in who were paying $20 that didn't bring somebody else in, so couldn't pay $20, they never got a payout. I learned a real lesson. Like that hurt my credibility. It hurt the trust. That hurt me.
And that's what we call scamming, people. That's scamming.
And so that was a real lesson for me. And because of my integrity and because of my name, like I came out of pocket and paid people back, like cash out people $20, because
God bless you.
You didn't lose $20 because of Tayla. Like you're not gonna say that. I do want to, for me, so I've been in multi-level marketing since I was 17 years old. So before I could even legally be a part of a multi-level marketing company, I was in MLL. And so for me, a pyramid scheme is really having a boss telling me that I will never make more money than him or her. That for me, that's a pyramid scheme, because I got to wait for the boss to then pay the manager and then pay me the employee. And at any point in time, you can also relieve me of my duties. So for me, that's a pyramid scheme. But I do understand the multi-level marketing and, people being told like, oh, you can make $10,000. You can get a free car. You can get these bonuses. You can get this. You can get that. But that's if you're a really good salesperson and you believe in the product in which that you're selling. Mary Kay, Avon, those are all multi-level marketing, aka pyramid schemes. So I just wanted to be clear as far as my positions on that. How can people make money during this time? People want to make money. And you got the $200 call. I promise you, Quincy, I got over 50 calls. Oh, Tayla, I know you know a lot of people. I know you know a lot of people. I know a lot of people that I'm not about to scam into
Hey, it was the most
$1,300.
uncomfortable conversation because some of these people haven't even talked to me since not even when my mom passed. They didn't even call to give their condolences, but they're like, "Yo, I know you and your husband, y'all got $200. I'm like, for what though? And I'm trying to get them to explain, but no one could actually explain it to me. And then now I'm hearing what you're saying, and some people may get paid. Someone might get a payout.
Lot of people, Quincy. One of my
But
clients,
it's people at the top. It's some people at the bottom that's not. So how are we helping anyone? How are we blessing anyone, people? Village, come on, talk to me. How are we blessing people this way? That's not a blessing.
Some people are getting blessed, and some people just gonna be asked out.
It's not a blessing if you're taking from your brothers and your sisters. If you're not lifting them up in the process of you getting your payout, that's not a blessing. I'm sorry. That's an Atlanta scam. That's what that is.
You know what, though? If you think about the trickle-down effect of government and politics, you know, I'm over here waiting for my crumbs. I'm waiting for my crumbs. You got a piece of bread, and I just want a little bit of crumbs, and I'm missing out. But the people eating bread and the people who have loaves and the people that have the entire bakery aren't thinking about you, the crumb grabber. They're not. And so, but also they don't know. So you see these results, people like, I got paid. You're like, okay, I'm gonna put this $200 in. And then your sisters, you thought your sister was gonna pay $200. She's like, I gotta fix my car. Your brother was gonna put $200. He's like, I gotta get school clothes for my kids. And so now you sitting in the fire with nobody else to bring in. And now that flour is stagnant and not growing, and you just lost your $200. But let me say, if there was a correct system in place where it was ongoing and there was no, Quincy, if you don't bring 2 people in, the flour stops, we could do just do a real Sou Sous. And actually, anybody who's engaging in this, one of my clients that just made $60,000, like, you have to report that shit. How do you clean it? How you gonna clean $60,000? You have to report it on your taxes, and if you don't, you run the risk of, if it's Cash App, it goes in your bank account, there's now a money trail, you run the risk of having to explain that. And if you're trying to buy a house and they're looking at you like, where this come from?
And I'm too small to go to jail. I am too small to go to jail. This is a great conversation. I could talk to you for hours. Let's get into generational.
I do want to keep back, because one of the last question that you asked was, how can we, the people, create more income? Because we want to make more money, and we're willing to fall into these scams in order to do so. So how do we make more money? There are apps out here. If you are at work all day and you want to rent out your car, there's apps for you to get paid to rent your car. If you go out of town, you can rent your house, Airbnb. If you there's ways for you to make money. What is your skill? Going back to being that child and cultivating whatever your soul came here to do. What is your passion? Oh, you draw? Well, can you sell your drawings? Oh, you write? Can you write papers for college students? Like, what is it that you do that you can be, that's natural to you, that comes easy to you, that doesn't even feel like work because it's fun, that you can monetize? And all of us have a skill, all of us have something that we bring to the table that we can monetize off of, but we don't have the proper channels, and we don't go through the proper channels to create ourselves as a business. And so You know, there's plenty of people that, you know, cook food and are amazing chefs, but don't take themselves to the next level, getting an LLC, seeing if they can rent out like a van or buy a van and create some type of food truck, or, you know, just whoever curated that painting for you in the back. How much was that painting?
Hey, I can't give up my sources, but
the painting was
I will put her information in the comments section when we air this. I can't give up my sources.
Okay,
you know,
but
I got that family discount. I got that OG. Right?
Let's pretend it was $200. That's $200, and she has a full-time job. That's $200 extra. Now, if you go ahead and you turn that into a business, you get your LLC, you get your tax ID, you get your business account. You now have a business. You're generating this income. And though, you know, Quincy, this is a big painting. It's going to take me a month to do it. You know, you just made $200 in a month for doing something that you love, that you weren't getting paid for at all before, because you were making all these paintings, giving them to your friends, keeping them in your house.
It's so funny. I'm gonna love you being my mentor. Love Village. This is my new mentor, by the way. She's gonna be mentoring me on a lot of different things, trying to get my business right. But it's funny that you're talking about paintings, because that's what I did with my little stimulus Trump check. So when my mom passed, she left me one painting. Left her children this one painting, and at first I was like, I don't know what to do with this. So I started, you know, researching, Googling, and start talking to people that had paintings in their house that I've seen. And long story short, I found out how much the shit was worth. And I'm like, oh, mom was on to something. And I started to hear Swiss Beats talk about his collection. And I'm like, okay, this is, and then I'm a huge fan of Nipsey Hussle. And before he passed, he was talking about getting into art collecting. So that's what I did. So we own about 12 pieces now, and that's only been through COVID-19. Like that, we've been just following artists on Instagram, and I'm gonna have a whole podcast where I bring some of the artists that I adore and love, that I've purchased work from, and I'm also using that to make money, because I'm giving artists a platform to do online auctions as well under Creating Black Thoughts and Queued Up Communication. So you just spoke my whole life and I haven't even told you that. You know, I was gonna wait till after we finish recording to tell you that, but I think I'm doing the right thing. So let's talk about generational wealth before we go. And I will be having Tayla back, because, as I said, she's going to be my new mentor. We're gonna rock Boston. We're going to take over Boston. We're going to take the world by storm. So she will be back. But before I let her go for this hour, I want to talk about generational wealth and home ownership, because a lot of people, including myself, up until about 2 years ago, I never thought I could own a home before I was the age of 50. So now, one home in and trying to get a second. Talk to our people about home ownership and generational wealth.
So we are speaking largely to a Southern population, and Massachusetts has laws that protect consumers and protect homeowners. But in the South, if you find a building that is vacant that owes $2,000 in property tax, you could pay that property tax and you just bought a house for $2,000. Like there's a lot that we don't know.
There you go.
As far as home ownership is concerned and generational wealth, so generational wealth can be, let's say, for instance, someone immigrated here to America, you know, scrapped and scraped, worked a minimum wage job, saved everything, didn't splurge on ridiculousness, but understood the importance of leaving something for their children, and so they got life insurance. So granddaddy was all the way poor and had nothing to give to his children, but yet my parents inherited $100,000. And with that $100,000, just like your Trump stimulus check, you went out and bought paintings. That $100,000, what are you doing with that? Are you creating a business? Are you investing it in stock? Are you buying bonds? Like, what is it that you're doing that's best for you with that $100,000 instead of going out and getting a $70,000 an Audi A8
I
because
was
you
gonna say some
Audi
crab legs.
A8 and some crab legs. And you know, he left this money for me. I could do what I want with it. You can, but that's also selfish thinking, because what about your children? Like, what are you going to do with that to be able to create something for the youth that come after you? So if I can speak to the elders real quick, one of the things I learned early in my real estate career was for these parents or grandparents or these owners of properties that then pass away and leave the house to their children or to their grandchildren, the children don't want that house. They don't want to fix that house. They don't want nothing to do with it. Put that house in a trust so it can't be sold. Little Ray can't sell it and get $300,000 and not have nothing and not and be broke 2 years later. That goes to a whole conversation as far as winning $1 million lottery and still being broke 2 years later. Like, it goes to mindset and it goes to lack of knowledge. But if you, for the elders, if you go ahead and you put that house in a trust, you put it in an LLC and you put stipulations on that trust, the house cannot be sold ever, 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 ever. Or if the house is sold, the monies of that home have to go into a trust. And and you can write that in your will. You dictate where you want, what you want. Just like when your mother passed, she left the children a paper that was in the will. Or it could have just been sold with the house and somebody else would have had it. You have to be intentional. And even if you do a poor man's will, put it together, sign it, and get it notarized.
What's a poor man's will for our listeners?
So a poor man's will is, I, Tayla Andre, want to leave my $1 million to Anari, $1 million to Asaria, and $1 million to Prince Rich. Quincy, the notary, stamps it. I keep it in a little envelope, and that's my will and testament.
Got it.
It will hold up in court, but not as strong as if you go out and you get an attorney to put a will and testament together. Going back, you can put stipulations on your trust. So whatever is in your will and testament is a law, is ironclad. Like, there's nobody can change it. Like, I can't come in and say, well, I thought grandma wanted. No, grandma said A, B, C, D. And so if grandma said, the house is to be sold, the funds are to be put in a trust, and Quincy can only access the funds if he gets married and gets a prenup, where the husband does not have access to the funds, only Quincy. Quincy can access the funds if he's going to college and maintains a B average. Quincy can, you can say what you want those funds to be allocated towards. But again, when you don't know better, you can't do better. We perish for lack of knowledge. We just don't know. And so generational wealth is more than just buying a house. It's the life insurance. It's making sure your children have the knowledge and the wherewithal to make better decisions with their money as well. So let's say you didn't buy life insurance and you didn't buy a house, but you were able to teach your children everything that you didn't know. And now they're on the right path, and you're creating generational wealth through changing mentalities.
I like that. I like that a lot. Man, we can, as I said, we can keep going, but we only have an hour. You know how people's attention span, they only listen to about 30 minutes and then they log off and come back on. But we really, really want to thank everyone for joining the Love Village for episode 6. Wait till I get my money right, the Black Dollar with Tayla Andre. So we will have you back, sister. I appreciate you. I love you. I love what you're doing. I want you to, before you go, I want you to plug that book. And once we get offline, I'm gonna go ahead and order it. I think I saw it. It's not expensive either. It's like $18 or something like that.
Listen, you're not paying $18 for the 70 pages. you're paying for my expertise.
Exactly, because
And there's a wealth of knowledge
you giving
in
us knowledge that other people I've seen online selling for like 4Gs. So I'll take that $18. And we also, like any other author that comes on creating Black Thoughts podcast, we're gonna buy 2 books and then we'll give one away to one of our listeners. So we'll definitely make sure that someone who's listening to this has access to the book. So I'll let you go ahead and plug your book and then we'll wrap this thing up.
Thank you. I am Tayla Andre. You can find me at TaylaAndre.com. And there you will find the access to purchase the book, as well as the Awakening My Third Eye, Ride My Root Chakra, Suck My Sacral Chakra t-shirts, and just knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. I have over 600, so I think it's like 1,300 hours worth of podcasts, and that's like knowledge after knowledge after knowledge of name it, under any and every topic. And so, Quincy, I really thank you for your leadership and all that you do within the city. I know you miss home, but Quincy is definitely up here kicking ass and taking names. And so thank you for what you do. Thank you for having me. And my feelings are kind of hurt that you and Corey did not call me when you guys bought a house.
Hey, we're going to talk about that. And I was just about to give my brother Alex Edwards a shout out because I see that big Thumbprint Realty in the background. Amazing guy. He feels the same way. But it's a long drawn out story that we're going to have. But guess what? There's more houses to be purchased.
Exactly.
And definitely Thumbprint Realty will be involved. So thank you again. Thank you for the listeners. We will be back at some point to talk about money.